Yo, what's popping? So, final week, starting off with the Guangzhou Charge against the Chengdu Hunters. Ends up being a 3-0 for the Charge, surprisingly. Um, Charge playing Jimmy Choi Won, Strong is against far away. Chengdu playing Jimmy Leaf Gaga Magnesia, no surprises. But Li Zhang's a 2-1 for the Charge, right? Line market's 133. Jimmy was picking off leave often, Choi Won was finishing his kills, and the Charge were just up positioning and getting the first pick overall. And that's going to be a pretty consistent thing throughout this whole match, really. Control Center was a 162 for the Hunters, though. Hurt had some really good early aggression, but it kind of fizzled out once they lost control because Choice almost got picked early by Gaga. Um, Maybe some over aggression there. And Leaf was able to pop off with multiple 3K plus fights. So that's being a Hunter's win. Gaga was also getting the better of Krong after that first fight, but mostly I'd say they were pretty even with throughout this match. With Krong was maybe a little bit better more often, which is a first for him because he's always been the worst Junker Queen, I think. On Gardens, it is 143 for the charge. There was a far mirror off the rip. Jinmu basically ignored Chosei One the whole time, and then Chosei One was targeting Jinmu, so he was unable to kill Jinmu. I just ended up winning because of it. Then Chosei One quick swaps over to the Widowmaker, gets a pick on the Jinmu, and is able to come back on the Genji. When Jinmu comes back on the far, Chosei One hits a sick clip where he dashes onto him, hits a big triple right click basically, and then is able to finish him off with some more shurikens. At that point, Jinmu does swap over to the Genji, but from there, Chosei One has the blade lead and charge half the point, so it just looks better for them more and more. Nisha was getting picked very early. He had beat multiple fights and he just wasn't able to use it because he got picked off. Chosei One was diffing Jinmu on the Genji, and it's just a pretty big diff overall. The charge backline was living better and doing more, and Nisha hit what got Ajax the final fight from a rampage, and this was because Xerneas was able to boop him up to get the kill on him. Next, we have Hollywood, which is a 3-2 for the charge. So trying to use offense to do a really weird split push to start kind of thing, where some of them stay on the point and some also chasing the B, and both teams end up dying basically. They do get a tick from it, but not worth. Um, they are able to come back afterwards with some ultimates and get 440 into B, but a very odd, kind of weird attack they had going on there. Um, Next, the Hunters bait charge down to the low ground, and they don't really need to win to win that first fight. So that's very good for them, and they use those ults to cap out fully. They have 315 entering C. However, this is it. They don't actually complete the map because Choice One goes over to the Tracer at the end of B and stays on C, and just look like they'll be able to cap it out, but they just can't. Charge rally together, get the kills they need, and just like a little bit more of a push, and Hunters would have had it, but they don't. They just don't have it. Jimmy was getting some good kills, and Tracer was just being very annoying in the backline. He was hitting pulse pumps. He was actually doing work on Tracer, which is something we haven't really seen. That could be in part because Hunters were playing very split. They weren't as grouped up, so the Inspire wasn't getting on maybe as many people as it should have. But it was actually good Tracer play, which I didn't think we would see in this tournament. Now Chargers offense, they kind of just roll through A, leave that early to Jimmy again. Like it's just a consistent thing where the leave is actually getting dipped, and they have 530 entering B. There's ults all the way everywhere. Everyone's using ults, and Someone ends up finishing up on top with the blade, and he clutches up. Krong hits a big rampage, and then they have 425 entering C, and it's looking pretty damn good for the charge. And then Jordan One has blade again. Jimmy's only at 50%. It's been two. It's been after one last fight since that last blade, and he gets another one, more big value, and charge aggressive to the spawn to finish them up with 250 left, and that's a wrap. Now we go over the Junkertown, the 4-3 for the charge. Now Hunters had some really good fight in this map. If maybe the Hunters were able to win this map, I think a reverse sweep might have been on the cards because they looked really good. And I don't know. It was just looked like things were starting to turn, but it doesn't happen anyway. Charge on their offense. Overall, the Hunters disengaged just like really bad, and they were barely able to complete the map with 15 seconds left. But that's all they needed. So it's just that's like a really core thing about the Hunters. They are not moving as a team well. Whatever they call disengaged players are being left behind. Like at this Junkertown first, it happens two times. It happens on their other defense as well for the Hunters. where they're playing forward and then they decide, we're going to back up. But Leave was staying up, aggressing. He was staying up and he just got caught out and died. And then that's it. And there's also many times where Gaga would like run off and just die. Like he's not near his brig. Happened on Hollywood third offense. Happens here. It happens all the time. And I don't really get it. I don't know. It was a very close round, right? Only 15 seconds left to complete. Hunter's offense, Chargers lose the first fight. They come back and they try to wait for Jimmy because he gets picked again, and then they just don't contest. They, so then Hunters get 4:45 entering B. I don't know. I don't know what the goal was there, but it was not great. Tristan Wong gets his blade shut down, and Hunters just keep on moving through C. And the Chargers are looking a bit disorganized, a bit panicky even, and just not looking great. And then Leave ends up killing 3 to cap out for Chengdu, and they cap out, and they have like 3:22 on the clock when it's all said and done. So I don't know. The Chargers kind of collapsed and was like, it's not looking great. Anyway, Chargers go on their offense. They have 1 minute to get it done. Leave gets caught out again in the disengage. So that's another. It's just like a pretty free push. It was an absolutely insane overtime because Charlie managed to live long enough to get back to 5v5, but it cost them support outs to do it. Basically, because there were trades going on left and right. And it was looking really bad for a bit there, but they managed to live. And then they come back 5v5, but then Chengdu, they get their support outs back. And so now they get late support outs, which is just too much for Charge to live through, and they end up holding them out at the end of A. But that's all they needed because the Hunters, with their 322, Gaga trolls off rip and dies again. Jinmu hits a blade, which okay, well they do push back. Of course they get through the spawn hold, but it takes them like a minute and a bit, right? Then Jinmu is able to stuff them at the choke, like as they drop down, and then but Farway gets a huge kill on Nisha in the end. He rallies and he's able to kill Nisha. Then Choice One's able to come back because they waited for Nisha, right? The hunters wait. Then he comes back, he blades, and then Shoshamon goes crazy basically and ends up winning, and that's the wrap right there. Player of the match is going to be Choice One for me, and it looks really good because my only criticism with the Charger, my biggest one, not the only one, but my biggest one was that Choice One did not seem to be playing how I think he could be playing with actually good players around him, right? This is like a glimpse of it, of what it could be, because he was phenomenal. He was popping off left and right, and this was just a really solid look for him. Um, and the fact that we even saw some good Tracer gameplay was kind of crazy. But yeah, holy diffing Jinmu, and this is the main reason there's a big 3-0 here. He was like final blows for every map, top of final blows, top of eliminations. Yeah, like hardly any deaths. Great, great stuff from Tracer One, and I don't even think that like the Hunters played badly. I feel like it was like okay, but Tracer One, he's that guy now. And it's looking great. But yeah, overall, Charge played much more in sync, much better individually most of the time, and better as a team overall. And it felt like they had a better idea of what they want to do in fights and how they want to do it. Whereas Hunters were more like, we're just going to like go in. They were disconnected a lot of the time. Gaga's going places, Leaves going places. They're not sure when they're disengaging, how they're disengaging. This is really weird. And most of their big wins does come just from Leave popping off, right? Jinmu had a very like pretty bad game. I think Joyce Ones just kind of dipped him. And even then, I would say Jimmy was different Leave, especially at the start. In Junkertown, it got a little less, but at the start, for sure, it was Jimmy more often than not. Which is crazy. But now, moving on to Shanghai, it's a Valiant. Not a lot to say here, I must say. Just a quick 3-0. One thing to note is that Shanghai's playing Lip, who you avoid Easy Hockey, Leisure Gun Standard, but Valiant are playing Easy Han, Becky, Dia, Lingza, and Molly. They've given up on the Sauce and Brig. I don't know why. I didn't think it was bad, but I think this is probably better because who needs Sauce and Brig whenever Molly should probably know how to play that character anyway? So, but yeah, that's of note. Busan was a 2-0 for Shanghai, 158 pound mecha base, and it's not like the like rolling was not 100 to 0, but like they're just getting maximum value from their ults, and they just seem to be above value in general. Like for example, maybe Becky would go for a blade, and then instead of using beat and just trying to win through it like that, they just disengage, let them take the point for a second, and then come back in and win. Right? Just things like that. That's where Shanghai's at their best when they're doing those little things, and it looks great. Downtown was 100 to 77, so a little closer, but still, Shanghai really aren't giving many opportunities for Valiant to capitalize on. Who are you was maybe going a bit aggressive, over aggressive at times, but like that's kind of the nature of Genji and how he plays. So that's not really an issue, I would think. Um, After Valiant cap, Shanghai looked to push in. Easyhon gets a pick on the lip, right? And then Izayaki dies. So it's a 5v3 the Valiant. But then Void ults in with the Rampage, and Valiant decide not to support ult. So they actually lose. They actually lose the fight despite being up 2 to start it, which is boggling to me. So that's just kind of saying like Valiant maybe counting the chickens before they're hatching at times, maybe not committing when they have to, like trying to be a bit too stingy. But I don't know, maybe that's how they think they had to play to beat Shanghai. They needed all those support outs as much as they could or something. But it was a bad look for sure. Pariso ends up being a 3-1 for Shanghai. They start off Ash versus Ash, but then whenever we go over to the other offense, they go Sojourn to Sojourn. I don't know what the difference is. But anyway, Shanghai's offense, Ash against Ash. Who you basically wins A. They get 5 minutes into B. They only have a pretty good A, B, and C hold, but like, yeah, it's all right, I guess. Becky is on the Echo now, right? He duplicates Junker Queen and hits a really nice knife on Who Are You. But other than that, not a whole lot going on. Like he just stays on Echo on C, and I'm not really sure what the vision is on that one because it's like why would you play Echo on C? Other than do you think your Genji's bad? I guess so. Sure. Um. Anyways, Shanghai get 320 going to C. It's a pretty long hold, but who are you able to get to open it up and have 14 seconds cap? That's it. You know, it's just Shanghai. If Shanghai's not going to get the job done with their good rotations and their good knowledge of like what they need to do, who you can just win, which is what happens here. So sure. Then we go over the Valiant's offense. Sojourn versus Sojourn. Becky's forced to go very aggressive to get value, any value at all, because he's on the Echo, right? And he needs to like execute with the beam. But the problem with that is Genji has a much better execute, and he has to go so close to actually hit the beam that he just kind of dies if he wants to actually do things. A lot of time he gets very very low. Um, and it's like you just can't do anything then because you can't just leave your Echo. Anyway, Valiant ended up training out a lot, but Who Are You hits a blade and he comes back and he forces them back. So not a lot going there. Then Becky, this is why you play the Junker Queen, I guess, is because you can hit a duplicate on the Junker Queen and you can just kind of win. So they have 245 into B, but then that's it. They run out of gas. Becky isn't able to get the big value that he needs. And the 3-1 for Pariso for Shanghai. Then we go over to Dorado, 3-2. Ash vs Ash again. Dia is dying early. Shanghai just rolls through A, and this whole offense is just a roll, right? Basically, no contest. They're heavily pressuring Dia. Becky's not getting anything done on the Echo. The card's basically in a contest, and they end up capping it with 322. That's an insanely fast cap, and just like, nah, like it looks over. It's just over. On their offense, they make it through A because EasyHan actually gets some good picks and comes alive, but then there's nothing there. There's just nothing there. Becky ends up losing duplicate instantly. Lip ends up killing 2. Valiant momentum gets stuck. It just gets stopped. There is a moment here where Becky ends up hiding in the church, and it looks like, oh, he's in a pretty good spot to pop out whenever the Valiant move in. But then Lip finds him right as Valiant go to push in, so this lets Shanghai run to the spawn, continue to stagger at that timer, drag out the clock, and basically kill a lot of time there. They do make it through B because Becky hits a duplicate Joker Queen and ends up coming up big. Ends up killing Lip with the overclock, and they have 130 into C, but it's just they don't have enough time to get that done at that point. So Tom doesn't play the match. Gonna go to Who Are You? He just straight up wins points. He ends up winning Pariso, capping it out there. He wins them A and B. He wins them Busan stuff. He's crazy, and he like Shanghai was good enough to without him, right, to get it done against Valiant. But he just adds another level to the Shanghai Dragons that just it's insane. But overall, these two teams are just not in the same league, right? You have Valiant bottom of the league right now, bottom of the APAC at least. Shanghai's right at the tippy top. So they had some fight, but like with how Shanghai are playing right now, it didn't feel close. Even if it maybe like it was like kind of like back and forth a little bit, but like Shanghai was firmly on top, firmly in control of this match, how it played out the entire time. Easy Han had a pretty quiet match. I think he came alive a little bit on Dorado and like had some first picks every now and then, but it didn't feel like he was being too impactful overall. And Becky was noticeable, but kind of for the wrong reasons. Like I don't understand the Echo picks that much. Like I understand that maybe Becky's a big Echo enjoyer and feels a lot more comfortable on the Echo, but like I don't think the value's there, especially against Shanghai, especially against Lip. I don't think so, and it feels like it's only useful whenever you have duplicate up, and then because the neutral just feels really bad, and even then the duplicate can just die to a railgun shot from Lip, which happened a few times. He copy something and then boom, he dies instantly. It's like, well, okay, so now what? You just lose. Shanghai just continued to be dominant, right? Great ult usage, great macro play. Doesn't hurt to have the best Genji known to man. Um, no real surprises there. But yeah, so like this video if you like it, subscribe for more daily Overwatch content. Thank you so much for watching. Have such a good one. Deuces.